When I think about halftime, I don't picture the score first. I picture the locker room. Now, I should probably confess to you, I'm not a huge football girl. I'm not. I kind of watch the playoffs and the Super Bowl, but there's something about halftime. And it's not just the music, although I do love a good halftime show. It's not that. I think it's about the possibility. And when I watch the Super Bowl, especially the Super Bowl, there's a party going on in my house and all those things. And, people are eating their wings and they're waiting for the musician to come out. All of that's going on at my house. But I'm usually taking notes during the entire game and halftime's no exception. I'm trying to imagine what is going on in that locker room. I've done a little research about that. And it's interesting because championship coaches of almost every single sport, they already know that the entire team can't change at halftime. Like it's not possible. Everything can't be different in 15 or 20 minutes. But there's an urgency, but it has to be an urgency without panic. And that's where we are right now. We're at the beginning of the second half of 2026. And this episode is all about one question and one question only. What few adjustments do you need to make to change the game? Because one of my favorite coaches that I've ever worked with said to me, Chatone, every single year is a game. And when I sat with that for a moment, I realized it's true. You've got these quarters, you've got timeouts at times, right? Little vacations, or you have your self-care time, you take a little time out. You work with a team. Hopefully you're not doing everything all by yourself independently. And you have to think about stopping sometimes and going back and saying, what's working for me? What's hurting me? And what adjustments do I need? Maybe just one or two that are going to change everything. And so, of course, I'm not a championship coach, but I think that every single one of us are. And today we're going to be talking about what are the little tweaks you need to make right now. What do you need to figure out? What worked for you? What surprised you? What are the things that you're loving that have gone on? And what are the things that you still want to happen? Because one thing that Morgan and I talked about as we were preparing this particular episode, which is, again, one of my favorite episodes, is that it's not necessarily about going back to January and figuring all the things that are on the list. I'm going to bring all those things forward. It may not be that. And it's also not forgetting all the things you might have done that were never on any list. We're going to talk about that too, because celebration needs to happen. Today is halftime. Now, I know we missed a week, right? Because, hey, the month ended on June 30th and it's July 7th. But this is the start of the second half, and we want to support you in releasing what no longer serves you, on celebrating the things you might have forgotten that you did, and bringing forth the things that really are going to make a difference, not just for this year, but for every single season going forward. So are you ready? Welcome to halftime.
Yes, everybody, it is the second half. Welcome, like Chatone said, welcome to Getting to After. You know what? I am very, very excited about this. And yes, I know, Chatone, football wasn't exactly your thing, but I understand where you're coming from. It is time to take a breath and just breathe.
We made it.
Yes. Oh my goodness, dude. Like the last 6 months for me were unreal. And I know that like the women we've been working with too, it's been that way also. And the same for them, right?
Yeah.
So I love this idea of halftime, a time for us to reflect and get with ourselves before we prepare for what's next, which can be a little bit scary, I think, especially if we didn't quite get exactly what we had planned on working on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And when you think about it, our theme at the start of the year was different than most people's, right? We were talking about retreating at the beginning of the year, even with our magazine, and kind of looking back, but not looking back to castigate ourselves. There's so many midlife women who were in that kind of season where we were too. And I think both of you and I had that moment where we just kind of needed to retreat. It wasn't just, let's go get busy. It was, let's gather in, let's think about what's next, and let's begin some January goals, but without that, you're not doing the right thing. That's not. By the way, if this is your first time getting to After, you're like, who am I? I'm Chatone. Okay, that's Morgan. And so, like, we're your hosts, but we're not that kind of podcast that's here to tell you all the things you're doing wrong. We never do that. We do want to give you a soft place to land, and that's what we've created here. And one of the things about halftime for me is this idea that you kind of get a do-over. And we're going to be looking at not just what you hope to accomplish, but some of the things that you accomplished that were never on your list. I think, Morgan, so many times we don't even think about those. We don't think about celebrating those things. We just look about the things that didn't happen. But what really matters is what did happen and what do you want to have happen. Like I think even for us, just finishing last week, the Body Confidence series and me bringing you in, we talked about one thing being on one hand and one thing being in the other hand. And sometimes those things are opposite. But instead of viewing what didn't happen, we want to see what did. So now, Morgan, do you know what I'm talking about? Because I know that you're sometimes like, Chatone, what you talking about?
No, girl, I'm totally picking up what you're laying
Okay.
down.
Okay.
Because sometimes it can be something as simple as like wanted to start a business, but you didn't get that done. But you're no longer allowing yourself to be in a bad relationship and having that drain you, right? Or it could be that you plan to lose 50 pounds, that you didn't quite make it, but you did lose 20 pounds and you walked in like a 5K for your favorite charity. So there's all these
Big, that's big.
that's huge. Or maybe you didn't even finish the certificate that you were working for or the courses, but you definitely cared for a parent gracefully.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to look at this. It could even be something as simple as we had talked about earlier about the retreat and the start of the year. Maybe you didn't travel to Europe, remember?
I know we talked about that.
But you've been consistently taking time for yourself, for your self-care without the guilt. So all of these things count. In fact, some may count even more.
You're right. And I think all of that, everything you said and more, especially when you talked about those goals that you wanted to hit, but you somehow didn't make them. So I think would be kind of cool. And listen, we've told you in the past that it's not about us. It's about all of us. So Morgan and I are both midlife plus here, happily admitting that. But I do think that when we decide to put ourselves out there, maybe it will help you to remember, oh, these are some of the things I did or some of the things I wanted to do. Again, this particular episode is one of my favorites because I think it is it's like a place of celebration. It's a place of taking a pause and a breath, but it's also a place to think about what do I still want and what do I definitely want to put to the side, because I think that's all part of the conversation. So, I mean, Morgan, for you, maybe what were you proud of that wasn't even on your list? Or was there something that life handed you that became more important than the plans you originally made? Anything like that?
There was a lot of things. Like I just had to make sure that I was strategically making downtime for myself.
Yeah.
So that I could recuperate from moving from Winston to here to Durham. Also making clear, distinct boundaries. We talked about that previously. It's something that I really had to learn over the last couple of years, but had to actually set in stone,
Yeah.
Also kind of just getting all my children, like they're all in different sections of their lives, right? So being able to help them all progress to where they need to be and then being consistent for them and just those kind of things. What about you?
First I just want to say, and I do have a list. I'm not going to ignore your question, but I think for our listeners, please, did you hear what she was talking about? They don't necessarily seem like the things you put on your bucket list for a year. Those are the things that happen. Those are the things that show up. And part of being a midlife woman who's successful is looking at what's showing up and deciding how you're going to handle those. Now, a lot of the ways that we handle them is through nervous system regulation, through tapping, through EFT, of course, through deep breathing, through grounding, through oils, and through communication and community. And if you actually look at some of those things that you did, they may not have been what was on your list. Sometimes as well, we don't even have the fortitude to make a list. Because sometimes a list about going forward is just about a tactical list. And I just want to shout out everyone who didn't make a resolution list, but made a tactical list, a strategic list. These are the things I know I have to do. That counts. So for me, I did go pretty hard with some of the goals that I had. Many of them had to do around my ministry, around what I'm doing with the magazine. So changes with the Getting to After magazine. But I had huge strategic ministry goals, people that I'm helping to understand the Bible, learn the Bible. Knowing that I had a few months to prepare for a good, successful launch of a body confidence series with you for a month long, which we just finished. If you guys missed it, go back. There's a playlist on our YouTube channel you don't want to miss. The body confidence series. Morgan, I haven't even talked to you about all that. I'm getting so much positive feedback from women of all different ages. It's so cool about how it's impacting them. I think too, for me, kind of coming back from Asia and having noticing how my body changed when it was over there. Look, it was over there. Like, it wasn't part of me. You know how my body changed when it was over there in Asia, and realizing that I needed to see how to incorporate some of that lifestyle here at home. It didn't all go over the way that I wanted it to. You know, I didn't do all the weight workouts I wanted to do. I didn't get all the work walking in that I wanted to do. But I created these pockets of time for myself to start to move toward that. And some of the things that interceded, just like with you, were about caring for family. They were about making sure I was available to my kids, even though they're grown. Other family members who needed me in different ways, and friends who needed me in ways that I decided to become available. And it was okay for the short period of time to put some of those bucket list things on the back burner so that I could be that compassionate friend that people count on me to be. And I didn't feel resentment. And I think that's a win all itself, to do the thing and not feel resentment. I feel like,
Because that happens a lot. We know that with the goodness of our heart, we want to do things for people, but then we're like,
yeah, like, what, can you go away? No,
yeah,
I
right.
feel really proud of those choices. And I just want everyone to think about where you might fit into some of those as well. If you feel that you had some of those moments like Morgan and I are talking about, don't forget to celebrate those, because if you haven't accomplished that you weren't planning on making, but you made it and you don't acknowledge it, you'll forget that you did it because it wasn't written down. So I'm gonna just give a tip. I'm gonna throw this tip out here because this is something that I've always done. This is a corporate tip, so my leaders, listen up. And for those of you who are maybe in a job and you want to move up, this is something you want to definitely note down. Sometimes what happens is we're so busy trying to check off goals, either goals that we have, big stretch goals, or goals that were given to us, that we forget what happens in the interim. And if you're in a corporation, a job, company, and you're given goals, maybe you hit all those goals, I want you to make sure that you're notating down and taking note of all the things that you weren't told to do, but you accomplished. See, that's what garners promotions. That's what gives you the next level up. That's what gives you a bump in pay. But it's remembering those things. One of my clients recently, I'll just throw this story in, recently had a review, and I know she won't mind. I won't say her name, but she won't mind me telling her story. And in preparing for her review, or her like annual review, one of my main things was, look, I don't know all the things you did, but I know, or all the things you were told to do, but I know you did a lot of things that were outside of the box. Don't forget to note them down. And once your boss is done talking about all the things that are on the list, make sure, and if there's no time, send an email afterwards. Always be writing down those additional things that you did, because those are the things that grow your resume, not your standard job. Those are the things that get the promotions, the things that go above and beyond. But somehow, us personally, we forget to do that. We forget to celebrate the wins. We forget to journal it down. We forget to write it down. In this halftime is where we're going to celebrate those things. So I want everyone to just kind of like think for a second. What did I do? And write it in the comments. Let us know. We were excited to hear about it.
That's really true, because a lot of times we do that. We can have a huge accomplishment and then 5 seconds later be like, on to the next thing. So we don't even acknowledge what we just did. Y'all, I be calling her all the time. She'll tell something and I'll be like, Chatone, can we just pause for a second? That was a huge win. A huge win, Tone.
Okay. So you see, we all need coaches, and I don't mind being coached by my co-host, okay? All right, she's a coach. And it's real. So I'm sorry, you're right. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, you know what's funny though too? I was thinking about, I guess I should like include the fact that I got engaged, because that's
Poor Braxton. He's listen to the pod going, what about me? Am I part of the win? Poor guy.
That is huge, but I did a lot of internal work to get to the point over the last couple of years to be able to make that kind of a commitment, because it had been a dream that one day I would be able to have a relationship like that again. But it takes a lot of time to heal so that you can be healthy while you walk into that next step, into that next relationship. I also think that sometimes our goals that we do have on our list aren't even what we want anymore. Like we could have started off having this as our goal and we worked really hard towards it and we accomplished it. But then once we accomplished it, we're like, that's not really what I
It's like,
actually wanted because in the background, we're working on something that we're passionate about.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And I think it matters even more in midlife. And I think you might know this particular person. If not, I'm going to show you her Facebook after we record today. She has a private Facebook group and it's called Tip Nation. And it stands for Time is Precious. And
mm,
I love that because it's true.
yeah.
Time is precious. And in our 20s and maybe even into our 30s, I can remember back that far, time kind of feels endless, especially, it doesn't feel endless, but it's kind of stretching out. 50 or 60 seems so far away. We think we have plenty of time, especially in our 20s. And then we can end up wasting it on goals that aren't even ours to carry. We can waste it doing things that have nothing to do with us. And other people's goals are not supposed to be what you're going after. Other people's, using resources and energy that we don't even have that do not improve our quality of life. Because I really think measuring and metrics about the quality of life matter more than just about anything else. So the thing, Morgan, is so interesting is that we actually waste time on things that were never ours to carry in the first place. A lot of times it's other people's goals, and we're using resources and energy that do not improve our quality of life. And recently I've been thinking about that. That is the metric that especially midlife women need to be thinking about. That's the measurement. What is my quality of life doing? Because if we're monitoring all these other things and quality of life is going down,
Mhm.
what's the point? And as we talked about last week, we're going to keep postponing things, telling ourselves, I'm going to take care of that when things calm down, when life calm down. And my question is, when exactly is that? When's that working?
Never. I mean, seriously, tell me when that happens automatically because it doesn't. You have to make it happen intentionally. And so that means, like, for example, like having your goal posters, having your vision board. You have to make the time to set that in place so you can visually see it because if you don't, it's never going to happen because life just keeps on going. And whether you guys are in the premiere or of this episode or you're watching it months from now, we really, really do encourage you to be able to give yourself permission to intentionally choose yourself and do things that you really, really want to do. And again, that's why we have this at Getting to After. And the summer, especially the summer magazine, is to redefine what is important. This is what Getting to After is all about. And you need to do that, whether you need to do that here in July, August, September, the fall, wherever it may be, it's okay to keep doing that. Make time, make a place for it in your life.
Yeah. And that's the point. If you think about halftime, and again, going back to the game, any good halftime review, it's to look at what's working, determine what a little bit more that's needed here, a little bit less, a little bit tweaking. How do we win? And because sometimes, it's that tip in. Now, listen, I don't know who out there's a Knicks fan, but I know you saw that play. Okay. The tip in changed everything. I know I just changed sports, but I just had to throw that in as a Knicks fan. The tip in. Sometimes you won't know what needs to be tipped in, what to jump up for if you're not paying attention.
I'm sorry. I love you. Like, what about when it seems like nothing's been working for you for a while, though? Like when you've been doing these for years and it goes by and it feels like all of this goal setting and vision board thing, it's not even in your bucket list. You're just writing all this stuff down. What do you tell women in with midlife who feel like that?
Yeah. Okay, so let me put on my coaching hat. Because what I'm going to say is not going to sound like what people might say. People will come up with a bunch of lists of things you're supposed to do. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say, be graceful, be patient, I don't even know if this is a phrase, self-cherishing. In other words, cherish yourself and be observant. So when you're graceful, you're not so harsh with yourself. When you're patient, you're allowing yourself to have time. When you're self-cherishing, give yourself the love that's necessary and be observant, because so many times it's not that nothing's happening that's on the list. It's just that maybe it's incremental and we're missing the steps of our progress. So many of my clients, Morgan, that's always been the case. Missing the steps. That's happened even with you, missing the steps. And I say, wait, well, hold on. What about this? What about that? That to me is the beauty of Getting to After. That's the beauty of our groups as well. When we're in community is each woman working with, with us as a group, realizing that we're not going to let your progress just drop to the wayside. We're not going to let something be dropped that we hone in on and say, wait a minute, I think I heard a win there. It's kind of like crocheting. Now, I haven't crocheted a blanket in a whole long time since Caitlin was 5 years old. I know that you're gifted in this area. But I think about crocheting, you do that one single crochet or the double crochet. And I don't know exactly what it is, but, it's never about one stitch that's going to make the blanket. And it's also not one messed up stitch that's going to ruin the blanket. It's you have a pattern, you're doing the stitches, and eventually you get a blanket. Now, I'm not sure if I got the reference right, but
you're doing great. You're doing great. I'm actually in the middle of working on a blanket right now, so that totally clicked with me. Great job. Okay, so say after she's doing this and it's like halfway through the year and she sees that there's still like some goals and resolutions she wants to hit, not release, not let go of, but actually want to make happen. How do you stay encouraged while you're going through that?
okay. All right, so you really want me to stay in coaching mode. That's cool. That's cool. Y'all listen up because you're getting some good free coaching right here. All right, so let's think I think since we're talking about sports today, thinking about breaking it into 3 different plays. 3 different plays. Okay, not 20 plays. Because a successful championship coach would never tell the team at halftime, let's look at changing these 20 plays. It may be 1 or 2 plays. Now, look, I don't know a lot about football, so maybe this doesn't make sense. But maybe he's going to tell the defense back, is that such a person, to do one thing. He's going to tell the quarterback. I don't know the positions. I don't know. All right. It's three or four little plays that he's going to ask for. They're going to go back to the playbook. They're going to look on the board, right? Or in the tablet, and they're going to put those X's and people running around, the arrows. They're going to look at those things. So I would look at 3 plays that you want to look at. So these are not, again, not just productivity goals or not just productivity plays, if you want to call it that. These are going to have to involve quality of life measurements, especially at the middle of the year, because I think at the beginning of the year, again, we're looking at lists of things to do, not necessarily based on quality of life. By July, you earn doing things that are quality of life. And if they're not going to change your quality of life, why are you doing it? So here's the 3 things I would break it into. An easy win, so we can call this the easy win, the meaningful movement, and end goal. So into the dream stretch, right? Into the dream, right? This is like throwing the ball all the way down the field. Someone catches it, boom, touchdown. All right. So the easy win would be something you can realistically finish in a month or 2, like really quickly. These are things that help you build confidence. These are those things that are those 3 or 4 yards, 10 yards that move the ball down the field. But the field that you're building down to, or the goal that you're getting to, is just confidence. It's letting yourself know, I can still do things. So that easy win. So that might be creating a morning prayer routine. If you've always wanted to do that, but you haven't, that doesn't take the end of the day to do that. That doesn't take the end of your life to do that. It could be deciding, I'm going to start walking, but I'm going to start with 10 walks. And there's a win and a celebration after I do 10. That's an easy win. All right. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. There's still work involved, but I'm going to do 10 walks. It could be something like, this is the big one, scheduling a health test that you've been putting off. Women, many times, so tatas, we don't like to get them squeezed. I know, right? For me, a lot of times it's making sure my thyroid's on lock, right? So I have to get a biopsy every couple of years. It could be one of those things. These are things that you can hit easily, and one that I think most of us need. And today I'm trying to do this without my glasses today, right? Because the glare was crazy. And as I've told you all many times before, I do use notes when I talk to you. I'm not trying to miss any goodies for you, but maybe you know good and well that you have not had your eyes checked in a long time, and you want to buy your glasses online. So you go to the doctor, you get your new prescription, but they make you online. Shout out to Zalul, Vugmi. They make you have to come up with your own PD, that's pupillary distance. And you got to take that little ruler and you got to measure that. And that feels hard. It's not. It's an easy win. It'll take 10 minutes. Do it. All right. So I'm just coming up with simple things. All right. So then there's the meaningful movement, Morgan. I think that was hard to say. Meaningful movement, Morgan. That requires consistency over time, and it needs a little bit of planning.
Mhm.
And we talked about some of these when we were doing the article for the spring magazine. I think it was spring or winter magazine with Janelle Williams about, so maybe decluttering your home. Take some planning,
Yeah.
right? For you were doing unpacking. It's not something that's going to happen all at once. You have to like move things and then figure out where they're going to go, and decide. Maybe you had to buy a couple things for organization. It could be revamping your nutrition, changing how you move your body and revamping your nutrition, or doing something like really minimizing alcohol for the rest of the year because of whatever reason, because of health concerns. You mentioned certification earlier, and I was thinking about that all this time. Maybe it is starting and finishing a certification, maybe something that enhances your job, maybe something you just never finish. You always get started and you never finish. Maybe it's creating a meaningful bedtime routine and maintaining that. Okay, hands up. All right, I don't want to be honest, right? And for everyone, I'm going to say EFT. It's not just starting EFT or doing it with the podcast. It's even going back. We have 100 episodes that have tapping in them on this channel. Like, are you looking at them? Establishing 15 or 20 minutes to do journaling and then do tapping every single day. It's not going to take you for the end of 6 months, but it's going to be meaningful. So you have that easy win. It's like a snack. Then you have this meaningful movement. It's a meal. And then, Morgan, if you stay with me, then into a dream like stretch. That stretch goal is going to be more like a grand dinner. It's going to be something like, when you're having a wedding feast. And it's going to take more time. This is something that kind of makes your heart beat fast, makes you a little nervous. It may be something that takes you to the end of 2026, or it may even take you a year or two. These are the things you're going to put on your vision board. Vision boards are not just for little things you can definitely check off, but they're for dreams too. Dreams belong on the vision board, but they also deserve to be on a calendar. And so this might be saving to move out of the country. I have a couple of friends who want to leave the country right now, and they're saving up for that. That may not happen in 6 months. It's going to take time. Or I know, Morgan, you're getting married. So, maybe in this, I'm just putting this out there. I have no idea, but maybe you guys want to buy a house. Someone, especially say a single woman who wants to buy a house, it may take a little bit more time. So it may not be something that can happen right away, but it's something that's really going to move your personal needle and your quality of life forward. So even if it seems like all these other things haven't happened and you're feeling down on yourself, pick 3 plays. Pick one of these, and maybe not my suggestions, but something. So let me know, like when you do this in January, or come next March, you have so much to celebrate, especially if you write it all down. What do you think?
Oh, I just love that I asked that question for all of us because I already know my 3 plays. I absolutely love it. So, okay, everybody, what are your 3 plays? Just write them down. Make sure you write it down and then think about it because it really will make a big difference.
Yes. And of course, we rushed the process. You asked me something, I'm like, okay. I had written down some notes about some other things we're going to use in another section of our pod, but I decided to throw it right there. That's fine. But the thing is, it's not about rushing this. At the beginning of this year, Morgan, I spent the most time I've ever spent when I come back from Asia, the most time I've ever spent planning my year. And there were very few things that can be checked off, very few easy wins. They were all quality of life. I would say 90%. And it was a 2-page spread in a teeny tiny font this big. Okay. Like it was a lot of stuff, but I then gave myself questions for each week and each month that would let me know, how did I do? So I didn't have to go back and answer all this stuff and journal for days, but I was able to go back and tweak and say, okay, am I just consistently not hitting this? Okay. Why? What's getting in the way? I think that if you really want to succeed, you can't keep postponing your progress. You can't keep postponing. It's like exactly like in football. You have to picture, what is my success going to look like when I get it? Whether that's a trophy or a ring. There's a ring in football, right? There's that big trophy. Everyone kisses it. That really stresses me out at the end of every game. Like, why are you all sharing germs like that? I know that you're in a team, but not team germs. I digress. What changes when I do this thing, aside from getting everyone's germs? What happens when I get the trophy? What happens when I get to wear the ring? Even the easy ones deserve that kind of forethought and that kind of visualization.
And even if you guys haven't done anything like this, like these kind of questions before, just try it, because knowing what you want to accomplish is really, really good. But when
Yeah.
you know the feeling that's attached to what you're trying to accomplish, that's where it all begins. I remember exactly when you taught me that one. And if this is your first time considering looking at the second half of the year in this way, that's awesome. And the cool thing is it's not like January. The pressure's off, right? Everybody isn't doing it, so you can just do it quietly and do it on your own when you want. And then redefining what you get done does not require you to become a different person. Okay?
Mhm. Yeah, it doesn't. I couldn't say it better than that. Redefining what you want to get done does not require you to become a different person. Sometimes we think it does.
Mhm.
It means we have to do a little bit of work. And remember, please, if nothing else, and I don't think I would emphasize this enough, and I want to emphasize it again, whatever you're trying to do and whatever you've done, is it moving forward your quality of life measurement? Are you measuring your quality of life, your happiness, your joy, how much anger you have? Like, are you measuring the things that actually change who you are in this container? It's very important. Now, since we're talking about quality of life and everything, we're going to do some tapping in just a second. Again, we've told you a bunch of information today, but it's really important that you decide to do the work. So, Morgan, why don't you lead us through a little bit of ground and get us nice and calm, and then we're going to grab some tapping.
Absolutely. So before we start tapping together, I'd love for you to simply just be right here where you are. We're going to take a slow, deep breath in and let it go. So in and out. Another one in and out. Allow your shoulders to just soften. Unclench your jaw if you feel you need to. Take your hand and put it over your belly and release it. Take another breath in and out. Notice your feet. Are they touching the floor? Supporting your body? Nothing needs to be solved in this moment. You only need enough space to just listen. You don't have to have the rest of this year figured out either. So let's take another slow, deep breath in. And as you're doing this and you're exhaling, imagine setting down everything that no longer belongs in the second half. Take one more slow breath in. And as you exhale out, imagine setting everything down that no longer belongs in the second half. You, only you, get to discern and decide.
All right, Morgan, thank you for that. We haven't done a good breathing and a good grounding together all through the month of June, and that always gets us set up for tapping. Guys, before we start tapping, just remember that if this is your first time, that there's lots of instructions, lots of examples over on our channel on YouTube. And also, if you just like listening to us, you can also go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you can listen to us as well. Across the board, we're getting to after. These tapping transformations, again, are created for you. Today, we want to make sure that you think about what the second half does. Like, what is it all about? What are you going to get out of it? And what do you need to release? So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the tapping. Morgan, are you game to follow me?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So Morgan, today we're going to be talking about from judgment to curiosity, because so many times that's what we're doing. Everyone, we find ourselves judging what we've done, judging what we think we're supposed to be doing. But we really want to we want to approach this with curiosity, because curiosity over judgment, curiosity wins every single time. Judgment cuts the conversation short, and curiosity can begin a new conversation. That's our goal today. Just kind of begin a new conversation. Morgan, go ahead and start tapping on the side of the hand. The side of the hand point is also called the karate chop point, and we always start here. I'm going to say a phrase, and Morgan's going to repeat it. She can choose to do it out loud in her mind or silently, and you can do the same. If you decide to tap along with us, and you feel the game, you're feeling brave today, go ahead and do it out loud, but you'll also still get benefits even if you do it quietly. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the side of our hand. Even though this year hasn't unfolded exactly the way I imagined,
Even though this year hasn't unfolded exactly the way I imagined,
I choose to receive the wisdom it has given me.
I choose to receive the wisdom that it's given me.
Even though part of me is still focused on what didn't happen,
Even though part of me is still focused on what didn't happen,
I choose to celebrate what did.
I choose to celebrate what did.
And even though I don't know exactly what the second half of 2026 will hold,
And even though I don't know exactly what the second half of 2026 will hold,
I trust myself
I trust myself
to make adjustments along the way.
to make adjustments along the way.
I completely love
I completely love
and honor myself.
and honor myself.
Okay. All right, so we're going to stop tapping for a second. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and follow Morgan as we start tapping through the points. Eyebrow point. I've been carrying a lot of expectations.
I've been carrying a lot of expectations.
Side of eye. I've been measuring myself by what I didn't finish.
I've been measuring myself by what I didn't finish.
Under eye. I've overlooked how much life has happened.
I've overlooked how much life has happened.
Under nose. The first half wasn't perfect.
The first half wasn't perfect,
Chin. But it wasn't wasted.
but it wasn't wasted.
Collarbone. It gave me valuable information.
It gave me valuable information.
Underarm. I can learn without judging myself.
I can learn without judging myself.
Top of head. I choose curiosity over criticism.
I choose curiosity over criticism.
Let's just stay there for a moment. I choose curiosity.
I choose curiosity.
I release criticism.
I release criticism.
Eyebrow point. I celebrate what truly matters.
I celebrate what truly matters.
Side of eye. My quality of life matters.
My quality of life matters.
Under eye. My peace matters.
My peace matters.
Under nose. My relationships matter.
My relationships matter.
Chin. My healing, it matters.
My healing, it matters.
Collarbone. My courage matters.
My courage matters.
Underarm. Even my smallest steps matter.
Even my smallest steps matter.
Top of head. They all belong on my scoreboard.
They all belong on my scoreboard.
I release criticism.
I release criticism.
They all belong on my scoreboard.
They all belong on my scoreboard.
Eyebrow. I release what no longer belongs in this season.
I release what no longer belongs in this season.
Side of eye. I make room for what matters to me right now.
I make room for what matters to me right now.
Under eye. I trust the wisdom experience has given me.
I trust the wisdom that experience has given me.
Under nose. I don't have to carry every expectation forward.
I don't have to carry every expectation forward.
Chin. One or two thoughtful plays can change my game.
One or two thoughtful plays can change my game.
Collarbone. I move into the second half with intention.
I move into the second half with intention.
I move into the second half with peace.
And move into the second half with peace.
Underarm, I choose a life that feels richer and more aligned.
I choose a life that feels richer and more aligned.
Top of head, I welcome everything this season has to offer.
I welcome everything this season has to offer.
And I release what no longer is for me.
And I release what no longer is for me.
Okay, you can stop tapping. Take a deep breath in. And out. And as you're exhaling, I'm going to take your head and you may want to roll it around a little bit. You may want to, if you feel like your shoulders got tense, just kind of allow yourself to relax and arrive in this moment. And we didn't do a level set in the beginning, but just kind of measure how you feel right now. Do you feel calm? If you feel more keyed up, you can go ahead and do this tapping again. And if you're feeling ready to start doing some of those exercises and deciding what your plays are, now is the perfect time. So Morganne, that wasn't hard, right? That was a good one. That was good.
That was really good. You know, I felt it like straight through my chest and my shoulder. Like everything in that one was hitting really hard.
It's funny because I wrote it, but the truth of the matter is it got me in the neck. That's why I said, everybody move your neck, because it got me in my neck. So I said, uh-oh, maybe everybody needs it in their neck. It's just one of those things. We don't think about some of this stuff, but it's really important. I feel very strongly that a mid-year review is important. It's not something that, is necessarily the thing that brings you the most joy thinking about, writing down goals and deciding what the stretches and deciding what the wins are. But if you're willing to do the work, it could be something you can do in a couple of hours. I think it can make a huge difference in how you end your year. And I'm always about doing things in advance. If you've never listened to me before, you'll have heard me say that if you want a great March, you got to plan that back in October. I really believe that you want a great January, you start now. If you want something to happen in 2027, you better not start on December 31st. You got to start now. You got to start now. So Morganne, before we wrap up, why don't you tell me your final thoughts on this? What's one thing that you hope our listeners kind of carry forward, tell them something, what would it be?
I definitely think it's that I'd want them to remember that halftime was never meant to tell you whether you were winning or losing. It's just simply a chance to pause, to breathe, and to notice what's beautiful, what's been difficult, and also what you've learned along the way. The first half is behind you guys, is behind all of us. So don't have to carry that or every expectation into the second half. We just keep what fits and release what does not, and trust and believe how much you've grown.
Yeah, I love that, Morganne. And maybe that's the invitation that we're leaving you with today. Just go ahead and celebrate the first half. I don't care if you think nothing you wanted happened. Let me tell you what did happen. You are still breathing.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
still here. Survival is winning. Ask Morganne. Survival is winning. And sometimes that's all we're able to do. We're able to squeak by. But the fact that you got here in 2026, think about all the people that didn't. It's a win. Not to be maudlin, but let's be so for real. It is a win. So go ahead and choose your one or two little tweaks or adjustments. Grab the ball. Okay, maybe you're not going to grab a ball, but I'm just saying, see that your story's not finished yet. It can start again today. There's so many new things you might want to do, so many new chapters. Don't put the ball down until you've reached the end, because end is many times a brand new beginning, and who doesn't want that? So listen, we are going to be bringing out a new magazine shortly in a couple of weeks here. Make sure you get the Getting to After magazine. Make sure that you follow us. Morgan and I are going to probably be doing a couple of little changes going through the summer. So stay tuned for announcements about what we've got coming up, when we'll be here on the pod. We will have some schedule changes, but the bottom line is that we are here for you, and we don't want you to forget it. You've got this library that is so rich, so many tappings that are specifically for you. You don't have to go through a bunch of people's content trying to find something that's for you as a midlife woman. We already did the work. We got it for you. All right. So don't forget it. We love you so very, very much. Thank you for sharing halftime with us. Go get the work done. We love you.
Love you. Bye, guys.